The Paladins dev team made a short live stream on their upcoming January patch, the Eternal Pyre. Shortly after, the PTS was released, and while it looked interesting, particularly on the balance side of things, my sights are once again set on the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's once again time to look into the future, into the year 2021. But before we continue, I must iterate again that much of this video is my conjecture and speculation based on what is in this datamine of the PTS. I can't actually see into the future, so anything I say is most likely to be wrong. Hello once again to another Paladins Datamine video. Today we are going to explore the datamine of the Eternal Pyre Battle Pass patch, and boy what a goldmine it turned out to be. But before that, let's take a quick look at what they actually announced in the patch notes show. Part 1. The Past. They fixed a couple bugs, touched on a few characters' balance, most notably nerfing Vivian again and reducing Strix's fire rate. Peric also got a buff, so that is awesome. The Battle Pass they announced contained exactly the 4 skins which were datamined along with their recolors. The Battle Pass also contains numerous cosmetic non-skin trinkets for your profile, as well as for a couple champions. They also announced the High-Res Showcase on January 7th to present sneak peek of Paladins in 2021. This is probably the most important piece of info in the patch note preview, simply because of one fact. The roadmap they made was pathetic. The datamine of this patch has info stretching beyond the roadmap that they posted, so the High-Res Showcase will either make or break Paladins' future in 2021. Hopefully, it won't be as laughable as the Realm Royale one was in January 2020. With the recent preview out of the way, I think it's time to get into the update and see where Yagorath is as of this patch. Part 2. Yagorath version 3. The very first thing I immediately noticed were the champion's ability icons. None of them are shared anymore. The icons are now unique to Yagorath, as is the crosshair and ability aiming graphics. As Yagorath stands right now, she still cannot move by default and is locked out of buying Nimble, Deft Hands and Master Riding. So this is what the abilities are currently in version 3. Left mouse button deals 50 direct damage and 33 damage per subsequent tick for around 14 ticks. That is to say, it is unchanged. Yagorath's right mouse button appears to have now 8 charges instead of 3 like last time, and the damage is also brought down from 500 plus AoE to 170 direct damage and 50 AoE damage. It's still very much like a zap kind of shot, like Maldamba's healing thing. If you combine left mouse button and right mouse button abilities, you now get a combo move that deals 187 direct damage and 55 AoE damage. Q ability for Yagorath has remained largely unchanged. It still deals 1100 damage after a wind-up, but now you also take reduced damage while you are in the wind-up phase of the move. F ability changes Yagorath from stationary form into boomerang form, just like last time. This is when the 3 extra abilities swap with the primary ones while the ability lasts. When the movement ends, the ability swap back. Unlike the last time, the movement now seems to be free form rather than rigid like Maltamba's Slither. F plus left mouse button now has no direct damage. Instead of 50 like last time, it now only applies a bleeding damage of 33 damage for 14 ticks. F plus right mouse button is still a 1-to-1 copy of Raum's charge thing. It is possible that Yagorath has come to directly oppose or counter Raum in some fashion, either in lore or in function. So it is possible, I am not sure, don't take my word on this, that Raum cannot stun Yagorath out of her running charge. This is speculation though. Yagorath's F plus Q ability appears to provide Yagorath with a momentary wall hack ability. A blip of vision, if you will. And finally, Yagorath's E ability, or ultimate, functions in many ways the same as it did last time. It is still a targeted killing ult. The main difference being that there are no longer 3 identifiable phases, and that the players are now no longer stunned, but rather summoned toward Yagorath. Fearing no longer happens either, as that is what the floating pull or summon move is used now. Once the player reaches Yagorath, they get killed, just like last time. In addition to the abilities, Yagorath's card art, as well as some of the talents, were also datamined, showing that the champion is ready for release sooner rather than later. Here are some text strings related to her legendaries and cards. Acid buff talent Fire mode spawns a scaling acid pool beneath Yagorath when she activates Harden. Harden poison deployable. Heal for X if you don't cancel Harden before it ends. Add to the base Harden device the base value and scale for this card. Heal if Harden is not cancelled early. Increase the health of your ultimate by X. This makes me think that the ultimate is a deployable or an animal form like Imani's dragon. Fire out quills and explodes shortly after reaching collision, dealing 100 damage on impact and damage in AoE around collision impact. I don't know what this is, but it sounds a lot like Abyss Spike from Dredge. Nor do I know what it is actually used for. Hitting an enemy affected by acid will increase the damage they take from all sources by 100 for 3 seconds, and reduce the cooldown of Harden by 3 seconds. That's pretty much it on Yagorath. Time to check out some of the cosmetics in this data mine. Part 3. Skins. Starting the skin section with Yagorath, as she appears to be very much in pre-release form of development. We have several skins that datamined with their name attached. Yagorath Reveal. It is most likely the base champion. Yagorath Emote, unnamed, again most likely the base emote. Yagorath Recolor, assuming that this recolor is unlockable with gold. Yagorath Skin, unnamed. Based on the way it's written, it appears to be an actual skin, not a season pass recolor type of deal. A recolor type of skin for the season pass was not datamined. Pyre Griffin Mount. Yes, another mount from Realm Royale. On the topic of fittingness, the Royal Griffonian Realm was included in an Angelic Warrior skin bundle. It is likely that this mount is an XP pack, kinda like Nogard is right now. Witches and Wizards Tyra. Yes, another skin for Tyra. I don't know what kind of skin it is. It might be Bounty Store skin like Madame Shira turned out to be. Lily Hopper. It is unknown who this skin is for, might be for Willow, though that's a random guess of mine. It had no champion attached to it, just Lily Hopper. Golden Terminus and Janus. And finally, fucking finally, a skin for Torvald. Barbarian Torvald. The unlocking method for this skin is unknown, but it is speculated that it is the ranked skin reward for Season 4. Kinda like Eevee was for this season and Grok was for last season. All of those are champions they don't like to make skins for. Another long-awaited skin was also datamined, Abyssal Furia. In terms of other customizations, what appears to be a death card with Dredge on it was also datamined. There also appeared mentions of the End Times update game mode. And that's it for skins and etc. Not a whole lot, but what is here is very exciting. However, despite the updates getting smaller, this data mine is far from over. Part 4. The Commander. Yep, you guessed correctly. There is another champion in the works. The codename for this one is Commander. Not the final name I assume, but enough about his name. Let's get into who and what he is and does. Commander appears to be based on Tyra, so for the time being, I'm going to assume that they are a damage character. Left mouse button fires a machine gun with 16 shots in each clip. One shot does 250 damage, while a headshot does 375. Right mouse button is an iron sights type of scope, not a full sniper scope. While using right mouse button, the primary now deals more damage. 375 for normal shots and about 533 for headshots. It is yet unknown if flying while being in scope is intended or not. It would actually be rather interesting if it were intended, because it would then provide a way of escape or mobility against flankers for someone that can scope. The scope flight passive is a rather slow ascent and descent, while the distance it takes you is actually rather considerable. Q ability is rather weird. It is one of two abilities without an ability icon, not even a temporary one assigned to it. Most likely it is a move that is completely new, not derivative of anything Paladin so far. What the move does is also rather confusing. It appears to be doing no damage whatsoever, and instead just makes any champion crossing the deployed zone invisible to your team. Kind of like it's a pocket dimension that can be walked in and out of. It might even be something similar like the poison cloud that Viper can deploy. Or maybe it's just a smoke grenade without the smoke. F ability is a great big leap like Tiberius and Buck have. That's it. And finally, Commander's ultimate ability is very similar to Victor's barrage. There are significant differences though. It only has one shot. And it can be regionally defined, like Corvus can define his ult radius, rather than firing on a certain target like Victor does. The way you move while deploying the ultimate is rather interesting too. You don't rise up like Corvus, but it kind of reminds me of how in Overwatch Doomfist deploys his Meteor Strike ultimate. The ultimate itself does 1400 damage in an AoE radius. And that's what the Commander character is right now. And that's basically it for this datamine. A worthy mention goes to the maps that were datamined as well, as there were a number of test maps datamined: Timber Mill, Polk District, Crossing, Eastwatch, Moss Garden, Sandbridge, Sierra, Undercity, Waterway, Salt, as well as a name for a new test map, Thunderdome. It is unknown what they did to the other maps, but these appear to be updated versions of them. And that's basically it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please show it with a click of the like button. Do subscribe for more datamine reports like this, and way more.